to Module 4, presentation number 1 for SPED 625. In today's presentation, we will be talking about accommodations for state and district assessments. The guiding steps as we go through this process are the following. We want to make sure that every special education teacher expects students with disabilities to achieve grade level academic standards. We also want to make sure you're aware of how to learn about accommodations for instruction. We covered that in last week's module. We want to make sure you can make decisions about accommodations for assessment. You need to be able to administer accommodations during instruction and assessment. And finally, evaluate and improve accommodation use. For the administration part of this, you will be trained on how to do that whenever you are having assessments completed in your school. Somebody will be assigned to do that, and you will be required to attend those trainings. We want to make sure and expect students with disabilities will achieve grade level content standards. That is step number 1. It is that basic piece we've talked about before. Just because they have a disability does not mean we should not expect grade level standards. So what are those conditions for high expectations? It means the IEP team members need to become familiar with Minnesota academic standards. It also means that teachers are qualified to teach content areas and who know how to differentiate instruction for diverse learners. It also means that IEPs will provide specialized instruction if needed. And finally, accommodations that increase access to instruction and assessment. So what is the legal basis for the participation of our students with disabilities? If we think about the district and state assessments, it is required through the No Child Left Behind and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004 that our students are participating. Step number 3, making decisions about accommodations for assessment. Quick review here, accommodations and modifications on assessments. Accommodations do not change what is being measured on a test, whereas modifications do change what is being measured. There is a link on our Moodle site that will bring you to the Minnesota Manual of Accommodations. We referenced these in last week's module. You should have that out, and please reference page 18. This is a guide that will help you to make decisions for assessment accommodations. So what about the Minnesota assessment system? We can thank Jennifer Dugan at MDE for all of the work she's done on this process. The federal requirements for Minnesota's assessment system are in these areas: math and reading, science, and English learners. If students qualify to complete the MTAS, the Minnesota Test of Academic Skills, that means they are students with severe cognitive disabilities, and taking one of the tests on this page is not appropriate for them. So they may complete the MTAS, and there will be a specialized way that you request that test within your district. If a student completes the MTAS, that does satisfy math, reading, and science requirements. It also satisfies the requirements on the next 2 slides. Please see the handout on Moodle that is called MTAS Handout. For the state legislative requirements for Minnesota assessment system, we have grade 8, math, reading, and writing, and this score is predictive of college entrance exam, and it has some career exploration elements. Also in grade 10, there's math, reading, and writing, and it is also predictive of college entrance exam and career exploration elements. The legislature passed the Minnesota assessment system in 2013, and the first year it was in place was 2014-15. Pieces of the Minnesota assessment system are these. If a student is not ready for career or college based on grade 8 and grade 10 performance, student is offered the college placement diagnostic test. This test is taken after receiving grade 10 career and college assessment score and prior to the college entrance exam. It provides information for targeted instruction. So think about the benefits of that for a student on an IEP. So they really might not be ready for career or college simply based on their scores from the grade 8 and grade 10 tests. But if they take that career and college assessment score prior to the college entrance exam, we're going to have some very specific information on how to target instruction so that they can improve those scores. There's a college entrance exam that can happen in grade 11. This is by choice, and that would be in math, reading, and writing. The biggest piece from this is that we're focusing on giving informative feedback, not just a cut score, which is all we had in the past. If a student is completing the MTAS, they would not be required to complete a college entrance exam. It would not be appropriate. A snapshot of the Minnesota assessment system. So, it takes into account federal and state accountability. In late winter each year, grades K through 12 have the access test, which is for our English learners. In the spring, grades 3 through 8 and high school math, reading, and science complete the MCAs or the MTAS. The Career and College Ready legislation, which is the graduation requirements, happens in the fall for grade 8, and it's called the Explore. And it also happens in the fall for grade 10, which is the Plan. Compass, not for all students, but when it's appropriate. And in the spring in grade 11 is the ACT. So a few more tips on some of these tests. There's a career interest survey with the Explore and Plan tests that may be appropriate for MTAS eligible students. Compass is an online adaptive test, and it's usually used at institutes of higher ed, so different colleges and universities, as a placement test for students to place students in courses. This use is to get updated ACT prediction after instruction after taking the Plan test. The Explore and Plan both offer predictions of future ACT performance. So you should be thinking about your students who would possibly be eligible to go to college. All of these tests are going to help give us some information to guide our students. This page is just a visual summary of what I just explained on the previous slide. I will stop talking for a few moments. So let's talk about the testing schedule. Each year, the state of Minnesota gives a testing schedule. Your school should have this posted on the website. Your school district should have this posted on the website in some area. For the most part, we're just going to talk about the specific seasons when tests take place. So for the MCA, grades 3 through 8 in high school, there is an online testing window for accountability purposes. It takes place in the spring for all reading, math, and science tests. The final results are used for accountability and growth calculations. There is a search engine that is now being used. Teachers may want individual students to practice with practice items so they can know how the interface works before the test. For example, the zoom feature if they need to enlarge something. Paper and pencil test may be better for some of our students. That is up to the IEP team to make that decision. This new platform will work on mobile devices, so you can see all of the different options that exist today for testing. So the MCA for grades 3 through 8 in high school, it is available online, and it's only in this navigation system called TestNav 7.5. Paper accommodations continue to be available for the students who need it. Chromebooks supported through districts entering into contract with vendors on TestNav qualified site. So that would be specific districts, and then items not formatted for touchscreen devices. They're not permitted. Immediate preliminary results are available for all MCAs, which is a big deal. We can get a lot of information from that. Continued on with this. The testing window for accountability purposes is in the spring. This is for the MTAS. You can see the dates are the same as the MCA. It is individually administered, and students can only complete the MTAS if they have satisfied eligibility criteria. Again, refer to the MTAS handout on the Moodle site. Final results from the MTAS will be used for accountability and growth calculations, i.e. the IEP. And just a reminder for any of you who worked in the schools when we had MCA modified, it is no longer available. The access tests for English learners and the alternate access for English learners, grades K through 12, also have a testing window for accountability purposes, and this takes place in the spring. Some other testing schedules. Grade 8 Explore and Grade 10 Plan. The fall test window is in the fall. The blank is just there because it's whatever dates the state determines. It is paper administration. It is used for career and college planning. Students participate in order to graduate. No minimum score is needed. The MTAS eligible students do not have to participate. Reporting dates and process are updated yearly from MDE. So the ACT, most of us are familiar with that, is a college entrance exam. It's for grade 11 students, and it takes place in the spring. If students need accommodations, those also take place in the spring, but might take place on a different date because they may need a different location. It has paper administration. It is used for career and college planning, and students participate in order to graduate. No minimum score is needed. MTAS eligible students do not have to participate. So let's think about this for a little bit. If we want our students who may need accommodations to complete the ACT, that is very appropriate. The difference with the ACT is that it has to be approved through ACT. You can't say that just because the IEP team has accommodations on the IEP that it automatically means the student can have accommodations on the ACT. It means that you can send the IEP and you'll actually fill out a very specific form if you have students who require accommodations. It can still be a college reportable score if the student is taking assessment with ACT approved accommodations. So you will put together the documentation and submit it to ACT for approval, and keep in mind it may be denied. Without that approval, it will not be a college reportable score. It is the same process as if the student were applying to take the ACT at a Saturday testing site. So our students have the option to have their scores sent to 4 different institutes of higher ed. If the school is administering it, it's actually wherever they may take it. They should pay attention to deadlines for ACT deadlines for accommodations. That's a really big deal. So as a case manager, you really want to pay attention to the ACT deadlines for accommodation. ACT does not identify English learners as needing accommodations, but you may have a special education student who is also an English learner, and they may receive the accommodations if everything is followed according to ACT. Is ACT worthwhile for individual students with disabilities? It is a labor-intensive decision. Parents can opt out of ACT under special circumstances provision. So even if you don't have a student who qualifies for the MTAS, it may still be that you don't want them to have to complete the ACT. And so that's going to be an IEP team decision. But if you know the student is very low academically and has great test anxiety, it is appropriate to talk to the parents and determine if opting out is appropriate. Here's some additional information for ACT. General inquiries, that's a great number for you to call if you have questions. And then the accommodations questions, you can see there's a separate phone number, a separate extension, and that may be one that you keep handy because it would be very appropriate for our students who have mild disabilities to complete the ACT. So the testing schedule as it relates to COMPASS. So COMPASS is the College Placement Diagnostic, and it's for students who are not yet ready for the career and college tests. So the testing window after plan scores and before ACT administration, online administration, and grade 10 students testing window opens early in January. Names of students are provided to ACT and the districts by the Minnesota Department of Education after the COMPASS is completed. The COMPASS is available to grade 11 students. It is not a graduation requirement for these students. MDE will first look for the student's plan score and then look for an MCA score. So they're going to look at the scores you see here, and then they will provide the list of eligible students to ACT and the school districts. Optional Local Purpose Assessment, the OLPA. This one was really exciting to see when this came out a few years ago. It's an optional online test available for non-accountability local purposes. It's open from September to February. It provides immediate results. And in math, it gives up to 2 optional testing opportunities per student. And it's for grades 3 through 8. In reading, it provides 1 optional testing opportunity per student, and it's for grades 3 through 8 and grade 10. It's the same administration policies and test security requirements as the MCA 3, so there is validity to it, and it uses Minnesota-specific items, and Math OLPA uses the same adaptive algorithm as the Math MCA accountability test. So districts may want to look at this performance before the MCA. Sometimes with everyone or with selected groups of students. So think about your students on IEPs. It's used widely differently between districts. So it's really up to what a district wants. So if your district is not using it, definitely look into it and talk to your district assessment person, because it can be very beneficial for our students on IEPs. Currently, there are not accommodations for the OLPA. Possibly that is coming down the pike. The reporting scales are the same between the OLPA and the MCAs, so you'd be able to really get a good look to see how you think your students will do on the MCA. assessment contacts at the State Department, but always check the state website in order to see if these have been updated. And thanks again to Jennifer Dugan for her great work on this very important topic. Now, review the assessment section in the blank IEP just to familiarize yourself with the different things we talked about. Thank you, and have a great day.